Hi again, Soapers. So this video is kind of inspired by a wonderful lady who's a follower of mine called Marielle. And it's in response to the Gilded soap that I posted last week. Now, in it she said, could you cut the soap in half lengthways to make it thinner and cover the design in clear, melt and pour? Would that work to make the beautiful surface last longer and be a little more protected? And I thought, well, actually, do you know what? That is a fantastic idea. And I said I'd have a little play and see what happens. And I did, and here we go. So very much like the previous soap that I did, this is based on using an edible gold leaf, which basically you apply water to the surface and then you use that water to stick the gold leaf to it. Now, these bars I'm using here have actually been cut down in size so that they are shallower than the pink mould you can see right at the top of the screen there, and also so they'll fit within each of the cavities and leave room around each one. And I thought what we'd do is we would suspend this soap in clear melt and pour once we've done the design in it. Now, this is very much the way that the Gilded soap worked. Is you're applying soap, so you're applying a gold foil to the surface of the soap. This one, however, we're only applying it to the front surface. We have no underpainting, and what we want to do is create a solid surface of gold leaf. And then what we'll do is we'll use that then as a canvas, and we're going to do a reverse drawing. So rather than adding something to this surface, we're actually going to be taking some of the surface away to reveal the black soap underneath. Now, you can do this with any soap. You can do it with soap that's not turned out quite right, that you're not very happy with. This works really nicely for rebatched soap, where you may add, say, for example, activated charcoal, and that activated charcoal always makes the soap black, as we know. This way you can make something that's got some colour to it and looks beautiful from a rebatch. So it's worthwhile doing that. So here I am, just literally going around and taking off this gold leaf. Now, I have left this video in real time because I think it's quite important to see that these are actually very quick soaps to make. They can be unmoulded pretty quickly. I think I left these ones about 2 hours to set up. So you can get these soaps out very quickly, very swiftly, and they look stunning. And I have to say that the video itself doesn't do it justice. I think you need to see these for real life and do them yourself. And you'll just be absolutely amazed at how good they look. So the edible gold leaf that I'm using retails for about £15 for about 30 sheets. So it's not expensive. Okay, yeah, there's a bit of cost there, but it's not hugely expensive. And you can see 2 bars here I've done with a single sheet, and you can probably get a third bar out with what's left over. But I'm going to show you a little trick with that a little bit later on in the video. So once we've got ourselves to a point where we have a nice surface, we can then roll on to the next stage of this soap. So once they've been coated in the gold leaf, what I'm now going to do is go in with a scalpel here. Now, you could use carving tools. I didn't have any to hand. I don't have any of those. So I'm just using a fresh blade in a scalpel or a craft knife. And I'm now going to carve a design into the soap through the gold leaf and reveal the black that's underneath. Now, if you don't want to kind of freehand this, I am just freehanding this. I'm having a bit of a play. I thought I'd see how it worked. I'm getting a bit used to really what the soap is going to do underneath this. And my suggestion would be that if you're not comfortable in carving, get yourself a printout of something that you want to carve into this. The simpler is, the better. And basically lay that over the surface of the soap and prick through with a pin tool or a large pin or a skewer, something that you can see where the dots lie. And then essentially all you need to do is basically cut out along those dotted lines to create your design. This one, as I was going with it, I thought, well, it's looking a little bit floral. They're looking kind of like calla lilies. There's something a bit floral to them, but they're a little bit abstract. So I thought, do you know what? I'm just going to kind of crack on with that. The idea behind this is the simpler you can make your soap and the design in it, the better. You want to have a very simple design on the front of the soap so that when everything comes together, it's going to look beautiful. So I'm going to leave you to a little bit of music whilst I cut these out. It'll take about, I don't know, 5 or 6 minutes, and we'll come back for the next stage. So with our first soap done here, one thing I do want to say when you are carving into these soaps is I'm making 2 passes. I'm trying to make sure that the first angle I'm doing is making one shape of a shallow V. And then when I go back in with my next line, I'm essentially going in with that shallow V in the opposite direction so that I'm cutting out a V-shaped channel with all of these. And then we're getting to the end of this soap now, and I just thought I'd kind of mention that this technique does not have to be encased in clear melt and pour, and also you don't need to use a cold process for this stage. So if you work in melt and pour, you can do exactly this technique with melt and pour soap, using a goat's milk, for example, on the base, or a white on the base, and then your clear melt and pour over the top. In that instance, you have to be a little bit careful pouring the clear over, so you're not melting the soap underneath. However, you might want that. You might want it to kind of mix together, and that gold leaf will stay kind of suspended in the soap. So that might be quite a fun technique to give a go to. And we may well look at that one, but if somebody else wants to give it a go, off you go. So now what I'm doing is I've sprayed my soap mold here very, very liberally with isopropyl alcohol. This is cold process soap being encased in melt and pour, and you need to get a good bond on this. So you're going to spray it very liberally with your isopropyl alcohol. One of the nice things with this soap though is because you've carved into the surface, you are going to get a good adherence on that front surface. And because we're pouring it in one block and we're not expecting layers to fuse together, it does work beautifully to keep everything together. So once you've got to this stage, you now need to move over to your melt and pour. And I make my own melt and pour. However, in this round, I did buy a commercially available melt and pour from that well-known online supplier. And I will leave a link in the description below for that one. But basically, what you can do now is encase your soap, suspend your soap in a layer, or actually a case of melt and pour soap. So what I'm doing here, I'm just stirring that to make sure there are no lumps in it, that it's at the right temperature. I'm going to give this a little bit of a swing round, so I'm pouring into a gap as much as I can do. So I'm going to pour this melt and pour in between the soap that's in the mould. Don't forget, this is liberally sprayed with rubbing alcohol with isopropyl alcohol, and it's 99%. And then I'm just basically going to pour this soap in, across, and over the top of this piece of cold process soap in the middle until it is fully encased by that soap. So it is a piece of cold process soap in the middle of some melt and pour, and you spritz the top liberally with rubbing alcohol to get rid of any of the bubbles. Now, my thinking was, rather than encasing the cold process completely within the melt and pour, in that respect, you're using melt and pour and then you're suddenly turning over into cold process. This, the back side of the cold process soap, is actually sticking out. So as you use this soap, you're getting melt and pour and cold process soap together. Now, I'm not quite sure what that would do for skin, because melt and pour can be quite drying and there's lots of nourishing. So maybe these are going to be fantastically cleansing bars. We will find out as we use them, and I may report back on them. But there we go. Those are the soaps done. And as you can see, you've got that kind of suspended gold within this beautiful clear melt and pour. Now, I could have probably cut these cold process soaps much, much thinner and had a thicker layer of melt and pour on the top. But you know what? You were actually with me experimenting on this one. And I took an idea from somebody who left it in the comments, and I've run with it. So if anybody has any ideas and they think, I don't know how that would work, or I'm not sure about that, or what do I need to do, leave comments on my videos. I try and go through all of the comments on my videos. I try and respond to all of the comments on my videos. And if you've got an idea that I think has got some legs, or I can adapt to make it work, I'm going to run with it. Here's a little trick for you. Any melt and pour that you've got left over, grab some of that leftover gold leaf and just add it into your melt and pour and stir it through. And what this is going to do is basically suspend these pieces of melt and pour, these pieces of gold leaf within the melt and pour. Pour that as a bar and you get these wonderful, chic looking bars of soap that just have gold running through them. It is cheap, it's easy, it's effective, and it looks so expensive. So anyone that says, well, melt and pour can't be done and it's horrible. No, melt and pour is a wonderful, wonderful soap making technique. If you've never done it before and you just do cold process, give it a go. If you're a melt and pourer and you want to give cold process a go, I say go for it. But both are very, very good techniques, and they have their own properties and their own ideals for doing different things with. So I think as a soaper, you need to get on both the melt and pour and the cold process. And let's start combining. Let's start using both of these for their pros, rather than saying that a melt and pour soaper doesn't have the skills of a cold process soaper, or that it's not the same thing, or it's not real soaping. It is. It takes skill to be able to use melt and pour just as it does with cold process. I'm getting off of my soapbox now. These are done and dusted. I'm going to let them set up for a couple of hours, and we'll come back and I'll show you these in all of their glory. Now, I have got a new setup here for showing you these soaps because I wanted to give them the viewpoint that you might get seeing them in real life. And even so, I think they look way better in real life than I can ever get them to look on camera. So, are you ready for these new soaps? Here they come. And there they are. So you can see how that black soap is suspended within that clear melt and pour. You've protected the surface of the soap. You're going to get a lot more longevity out of them, and they look absolutely stunning. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps me grow, and it allows me to make more videos and tutorials for all of you. When you subscribe, don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified when a new video is uploaded. And thanks a lot, soapsters. We'll see you next time.